Do you know how many cells are in human body? Think one moment. Yeah, it's hard to say that number, right? But scientists come up with one number. That is 37.2 trillion. Holy crap. 37.2 trillion cells in human body. What that signifies you that you are one of the complex organism in this universe. To understand the cell structure, we have to consider two different parts, that is prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. Scientists separated those terms clearly, which one is prokaryotic and which one is eukaryotic. And I believe that you know some difference between them, but today I'll discuss briefly about about the cell structure, the difference between animal and plant cells, and difference between animal plant cells with bacterial cells. As a whole, I'll discuss about the whole difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes, even though they're cell organelles. Okay, I'm gonna focus detail. Okay, so I will cover everything that you will need to succeed in biology. Even though prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have some common characteristics, for example, they're composed of cells. Cell is the basic unit of life. Without cell, the life is not possible. And all prokaryotes and eukaryote cells consist of DNA as a hereditary material, genetic material, that you transfer your characteristics to your offspring. Okay? So, as a genetic material. Another thing is they can reproduce. Cells can reproduce by cell division. Those cell division either by fission, fusion, or different kind of, like for example in like mitosis, meiosis, right? Those kinds of cell division might occur. But we're not going to focus that on today's lecture, but that's important too. The cell structure is closely related with the cell division. So we need to understand first what is cell division and what do you mean by cell first. Okay, so let's move on there. As you look here, what you can see here, you can see three structure here. Those structures are very different from each other. And you might say this structure and this structure looks like same. And you might say this structure and this structure is very different. Yes, you're right. So how they different? Let's move on and let's check it out. Let's look this. First, these cells are called eukaryotic cells. Okay, and this is called prokaryotic cells. Okay, what is the difference is in the case of eukaryotic cells, you can see in the case of eukaryotic cell, you can see membrane bound organelles. You can see some endoplasmic reticulum, you can see nucleus, nucleolus, centriole, and you can see mitochondria here. And in the case of plant, you can see chloroplast here, right? The chloroplast right here, the green structure here. Okay, but in the case of prokaryotic cell, there is no membrane bound cell organelles. Can you see any nucleus here? No. You can see nucleoid, but you can see nucleus. But here you can see distinctly that there is a nucleus is very distinct here. The nucleus consists of chromatin here, and nucleus consists of here the nucleolus, okay, and it is like covered with nuclear envelope. Okay, now so what we can say is in the case of prokaryotic cell there is no true nucleus. Okay, And in the case of eukaryotic cell, we can say there is a true nucleus. Okay. Okay. Look, another thing here. If you look at the size, the eukaryotic cells are like most of the time eukaryotic cells are very larger in size than that of the prokaryotic cells. These are more complex. Eukaryotic cells are more complex than prokaryotic cells. Okay, and they have plasmids, smaller rings of DNA. We call that plasmids. They have linear DNA. Eukaryotic cells have linear DNA, but prokaryotic cells have circular DNA, small circular DNA. Okay, so in the case of ribosome, if you say ribosome here, what do you mean by ribosome? Ribosomes are very important to eukaryotic and prokaryotic cells because they help in the synthesis of protein. Okay, so ribosomes play a very important role here. In eukaryotic cell and prokaryotic cell, the size of ribosome is different. Okay, in eukaryotic cell, the size of ribosome is 80S, but in the case of prokaryotic cell, the size of ribosome is 70S. Okay, the size of ribosome different, and the ribosome is mainly, look, in the case of eukaryotic cells, you can see ribosome is scattered on the surface of endoplasmic reticulum, and you can see endoplasmic reticulum without ribosome too. So there are two kinds of endoplasmic reticulum you can see here. Okay, so one is rough endoplasmic reticulum and one is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Okay, that's good. So what's the another difference you can see is you can see flagella here. In the case of prokaryotic cells, the flagella is like wavy structure here, which helps in locomotion. Okay, in the flagella, in the case of eukaryotic cells, you can only see in sperm cell. You know sperm cells. Okay, so sperm cells has that kind of thing. So this is small. This is sperm. Okay, so sperm cells, like when they move towards the egg, okay, to like fertilize the egg, it moves due to the help of flagellum. Only eukaryotic cells that has flagellum is only the sperm cell. Okay, that's very important here. Now you can see the fluid inside the membrane. Okay, the fluid is called cytosol, or you can say cytoplasm, which consists of proteins, nutrients, and other kind of solutes. Okay, this is very important, and you can see same thing here too. You can see ribosomes inside the cytoplasm. They are just hanging around, right? So, and you can see plasma membrane. Okay, you can see plasma membrane here. Most of the time, the bacteria's membrane, plasma membrane, is consist of peptidoglycan. Okay, peptidoglycan, made up of peptidoglycan. And if we move on to the structure of ribosome, basically in depth, as I told you, in eukaryotic cells, the ribosome size is 80S, and it has two subunits. Okay, those subunits are called 60S and 40S. The 60S subunits of ribosomes are larger than the 40S, and the 60S consist approximately 49 proteins, and that of the 40S ribosomes approximately consist of 33 proteins. And the ribosomes is composed of rRNA, ribosomal protein, and divalent ions, mainly magnesium ions. In the case of prokaryotic, it has also two subunits. One is 50S and another is 30S. 50S has approximately 34 proteins and 30S has approximately 21 proteins. As a whole, if you want to say, in eukaryotic cells, which composed of 40% of RNA and 60% of protein, and in the case of prokaryotic cells, they consist of 60% of RNA and 40% of protein. It's like just opposite. Okay. And one more thing. If you, I already said that only 70 years in bacteria, but it's not accurately true because 70 years ribosomes might also present in animals and plant cells. In mitochondria and in the case of chloroplast, there is also 70 years ribosomes. Okay, so I don't mean that only 70 years present in prokaryotic cell, but if you comparatively look the size, the ribosome size in prokaryotic is comparatively smaller than that of the eukaryotic cells. Okay, that's the thing about ribosome. Another thing is here you go, nucleus. Nucleus is very important part, and nucleus is a control part of cell which controls everything. Okay, I told you that it consists of chromatin. Okay, and the chromatins are very thin, and during the cell division the chromatin condense with each other to form chromosomes. Okay, those chromosomes undergo cellular division, okay, and form new offspring or new daughter cells, you can like say that. Okay, and after that, after nucleus, you can see nucleus here. I told you that it's like you have fake nucleus like covering, you can see here, but there is no like protection for nucleoid. Okay, they are just like hanging, okay, on a cytoplasmic matrix. And what is the difference between plant and animal cell? The main difference between plant and animal cell is plant cells are rectangular in shape, animal cells are round in shape. Plant cell has center vacuole, which is bigger in size, whose main function is to store water molecule. And you can see some chloroplast here, and which took part in the case of photosynthesis, and they have mitochondria too. So it means that they have a great role in the case of cellular respiration too. Okay, so animal cells also undergo cellular respiration, is like plant cells, but you cannot see any kind of cellular respiration in bacteria. Okay, because you cannot see any kind of structure like organelle that took part in cellular respiration. Okay, so another thing is that in the case of plant cells, okay, plant cells, you can see the structurally, okay, they are very different, okay, than the animal cells. You can see plasmodesma, okay, here you go, here, and the plasmodesma, main function of plasmodesma is to connect with another cell. So there is a relationship between one another, so it's like very important in cellular function. In the case of animal cell, you can only see cell membrane, there is no cell wall like in plant cell. Okay, in the case of plant cell, cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, cell wall is made up of cellulose. Okay, now another thing here, in the case of eukaryotic cells, I told you that there are rough endoplasmic reticulum and smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Their function is different from each other. Okay, the rough and the smooth endoplasmic reticulum function differently, and they have like different kinds of function. Rough endoplasmic reticulum means ribosomes are attached to the surface of endoplasmic reticulum. If there is smooth endoplasmic reticulum, means ribosomes are not attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. For example, let's say this is endoplasmic reticulum, right? If you see some kind of ribosomes attached to the surface of that, then it is called rough. Okay. If there is no attachment, that is plain endoplasmic reticulum, then that is called smooth, and their function is very different. Okay, so rough endoplasmic reticulum takes part in protein synthesis. Okay, takes part in protein synthesis, and this smooth endoplasmic reticulum takes part in lipid synthesis. Okay, and the density higher near nucleus and Golgi apparatus. Okay, the rough endoplasmic reticulum's density is higher near nucleus and Golgi apparatus, and mainly the main function of another main function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum is detoxification of drugs and poisons. Okay, and it looks like tubular in structure, involves in production of steroid hormones in adrenal cortex and endocrine glands. Okay, so another function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum. The smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the protein from there travels through vesicle. Okay, in the vesicle transfer proteins to the another structure called Golgi apparatus. Okay, so Golgi apparatus has two sides. Okay, so one it accept, okay, and another it like transfer the product that it stored. Okay, so what I mean by that is Golgi apparatus had like this top part here. Look, this face is called transface, and the below part, which is like in concave shape like this, okay, this part is called cisface. Okay, and you can see some lumen structure here, and you can say cisternae. Okay, and around these you can see some kind of secretory vesicle. Okay, so it consists of a stack of membrane enclosed sacs. It works like a post office, or it works like a UPS. Okay, it packages and transport proteins to other. Okay, sometime the Golgi receives protein and it customize the protein so cell can use that. It does by doing very important function. It folds the protein in such a way that the other like cell work can be done, and it adds some time lipids and carbohydrates to protein, so to form like glycoprotein or lipoprotein, something like that, right? So it is very important. Okay, so I already talked about vesicles, and vesicles like just transfer that. And the vacuole main function is storage in both animals and plants. uh, and if we talk about chloroplast here, okay, the chloroplast consists of many granum here. Okay, you can see like coins like structure, one above another, and this is very important. Okay, so in chloroplast you can see photosynthesis, photosystem first, photosystem second, everything occurs in chloroplast, and chloroplast has its own DNA. Okay, it has own DNA, like in mitochondria also has its own DNA. Okay, it has also own DNA. So on the matrix, right, so it receives light. Okay, sometimes it receives like different kinds of light. Okay, most of the time the chloroplast, the granums are like green in color, so they do not accept green light. Okay, they do not accept green light, they accept very sensitive to blue light, and they are very sensitive to some kind of violet light. They receive a lot because the blue and violet light has more energy, so it is more useful in the case of photosynthesis. So only plants has only chloroplast, and you can see chloroplast in the case of animal cell. But some bacteria can do photosynthesis, but I'm not going to touch that topic today because it's like very depth. Okay, so okay, here you go. Look here, another structure you can see in the case of animal cell, that is called centriole. Centriole has a great role during cell division. It divides and it goes to the opposite side of the pole during cell division to pull the chromosome, okay, to pull the chromatid, you can say, okay, chromatids toward it, and the cell start divide. Okay, the cell starts dividing. Okay, so that's the main function here. And the main function of cell membrane and cell wall is to protect the inner context. Okay, to protect everything what inside, what is inside the cell. That's main function of cell wall and cell membrane, is to protect the inner context, and that is very important. And not only that, the cell, animal cell or plant cell, I already told you, like trillions, 37 some kind of trillions of cells, they work together to perform a cellular work, so we can able to sustain, right? So these are very important to understand the basic concept of cells and cell structure. I already talked about the main components of cells. I discussed about the difference between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, the difference between animal cells and plant cells, and I discussed mainly about the structure of ribosomes, and I discussed about the cellular organelles like endoplasmic reticulum, nucleus, Golgi apparatus, vesicles, mitochondria, vacuole, centriole, and I talk about cell wall, structure of cell wall, and cell membrane, the function of plasmodesma. I just like cover those things, and I talk about chloroplast in the case of in the case of plant cells and its important function. And in my next lecture, what I'm going to talk about is mainly focus on the cell division, the mitosis and meiosis cell division, how those division occurs and what's the main important role of that. I'm going to focus on those things. And thank you for watching my video, and I'll be in touch with you in my next lecture, and I'll tell you more about the cell structure and its function. So for that time, say goodbye and have a great day. Thank you.